Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's edition of the Duval Dive. Of course, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game of the Fans First Sports Network, here to bring you in for more action here for you, the Duval devout out there. An honor, joy, and privilege to do it once again. I know there's a lot of panic. There's a lot of trouble. It's 0-2. Oh, my goodness. It's a bad place to be. What do? Trent Baalke, Doug Peterson, the offensive line, Trevor Lawrence. What happened? It's everybody's fault. Oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? There's a whole lot of panic out there for you guys. I got to tell you, it's moments like this that I'm proud to say I only covered the Jags. I'm not a Jaguar fan, but I do know somebody who probably needs an uplift of some sort. I know him as my personal champion. You know him as Travis D. Holmes of Big Cat Country. What's going on, bro?
Hey man, I'm good. I've had a few days to decompress into Woosah. I've gone on an ayahuasca retreat, and I'm feeling good right now, bro. I'm good.
Yeah. Well, hey, by the way, listen. You say all that, but for those that are watching via the Duval Dive YouTube channel or any of the other sources, you got to pop the shirt. You're saying you found all this zen, but the "this team makes me drink" shirt is in full effect. Don't be fronting.
I had to take it out. I had to take it out of retirement. I might be feeling better, but I am still a bitter ex-girlfriend right now. So I mean, I am well aware of how I feel, but I am doing better. I was crying all night, but I feel better today than I felt yesterday. How about that?
Well, folks, I'm gonna say this. You say what you're saying about feeling bad about the game, and I'm sure that's partially true. But the thing you feel worse about is having to apologize for a particular take you had on the Duval Dive live this past Sunday regarding the safety. And you're like, Trevor, it was all Trevor. Why, Trevor? And I tried to tell you that the offensive line failed him. Now, granted, I have a different take myself.
Thank you.
I have a different take myself when it comes to that. But you wanted an opportunity to apologize to Sunshine himself. Go right ahead, sir.
No, I do. I owe Trevor an apology, and I will apologize to him when I see him also. But for everyone else, if I publicly shame a man, I'm going to publicly apologize to him, and he absolutely is owed just that. I had a built-in assumption. I thought Brian Thomas Jr. was running an out route on the safety that took place, that basically kind of ended the game for a lot of intents and purposes. It was not. It was an out and up from your own 2-yard line that was run by an NFL football team with a struggling offensive line all game in the last 2 minutes of the game. I assumed NFL coaches would make NFL coaching decisions in my assessment because I missed the fact that Brian Thomas actually did run up at the last second. I was wrong for making that assumption because that's obviously not what we're doing here in Jacksonville at this current moment in time. In this current iteration of the Jacksonville Jaguars coaching staff, anyways. So
that's right.
Trevor, Trevor Lawrence, the prince that is to be promised. I do owe you an apology, sir, and I apologize. I did not expect your coaching staff to leave you out to dry. My bad.
I'm going to double down right with you, my friend. Where I was misappropriated, I mentioned I didn't feel like he had enough time to get rid of the ball. My statement was correct, but not the way I thought that it actually was. Because let's be honest, the interior collapsed after Myles Garrett did his thing on the outside to force Trevor into the pocket. We saw that part.
Right.
But like you, I never would have thought a play caller I don't care who it is, right? There's the whole, is it Press Taylor, is it Doug Peterson? I don't care. Why on earth, in that scenario, are you leaving your quarterback hanging out to dry when you know the protection in the middle is and has been not great? By the way, you want to know, I write my keys to the game every week on the Fans First Sports Network, Travis. You know what I've mentioned in all 3 weeks? The offensive line. How do I know it and they don't? What are we doing here? Anyway.
Well, I think they know it. They're just hoping and prayer. I mean, hopes and prayers, bro. That's what we're doing. That's what we are in week 3, entering week 3 of the NFL season. Jacksonville Jaguars fans, I understand. I empathize, man. We are into hopes and prayers season at this point. We don't know how we're going to fix the problem. Help is not on the way. We just calling plays and we're going to see what happens, man.
Hey, listen, if you want to be living on a prayer, I leave that to my Bon Jovi karaoke. How about that? See, come on. I found a way to get a laugh in these doldrums, man. That's called talent right there. A few shouts to the comments. Our dude Robert going full Trevor Lawrence. saying what Trevor Lawrence said. Well, we suck right
Hey,
now. I mean,
hey, Robert, man,
you know,
that's been the Jaguars' motto for the last decade, man. They suck until they don't, and I don't judge. I'm just saying that's the motto. You gonna suck, and I'm gonna act like you suck until you don't. You gonna have to prove it on the field, man.
yeah, no, Darnell, the playmaker, comes in. No business losing on Sunday. The state of
Mm.
Florida in football is on hard times. Well, my friend,
Nah, nah,
I
nah,
wouldn't
nah,
leave
nah.
out. I wouldn't leave out the UCF Knights, who I
Let's
cover for the black
go.
and gold banneret.
Let's go.
Pretty good there. Also, you happen to be a fan of the U. They doing all right with Ward in there as a Heisman Trophy potential candidate. That's an interesting
Right.
thing there too.
Right. But
Uh,
the point is, some of these places are poverty universities right now. We are not included in that. UCF is doing just fine, baby. We are flourishing right now. So now speak for the rest of the state of Florida. We must be treated like New York or something like that. Let's go.
well, and then I see another comment jumping in for Go Buffalo. That tells me that's my cue for us to bring in our guests. And listen, this is a guy who who covers the way they talk about the Buffalo Bills on the Coast to Coast podcast. The man himself, half of the Coast to Coast podcast, Whittle 2K, jumping aboard to talk
Let's
some Bills.
go.
And I got to give you credit coming in with full paraphernalia, decked out, ready to
Always.
crew, man. I
You
mean,
lucky I didn't paint my face.
I mean,
I'm not going to say I would respect you less if you did that. That would have been fun. There you go. Although I would say you like myself require optical enhancement. I would have expected frames to be accessorized appropriately with red, blue, or white in any combination you'd like. That's all I would say.
Yeah, we working on that, man. One step at a time. One step at a time. But I gotta real quick give a shout out to UCF for once again producing a NFL pro ready talent in Tylen Grable.
Yeah.
Uh, listen, he's the left tackle of the future. He has turned a lot of heads this offseason. So thank you guys again. Gabe Davis was great. And now Tylen Grable stepping in and we appreciate him for
Yeah,
sure.
listen, Tylen isn't just a big dude. He has good feet too, and that's exactly what you
Absolutely.
need
Yep.
to give Josh Allen a chance to run down the field and go second level. You know, when I saw them make that pick, I was concerned about Tylen getting the respect he should in the NFL, but when I saw the Bills get him, I loved the fit. Great shout by you, Whittle. By the way, I'll give Whittle a bell.
Oh yeah, I'm tapped in, man. I'm tapped in with the roster for sure. For sure.
But I mean, listen, let's get right into it. I'm going to come right out with this. I mean, we'll get to Josh Allen on Josh Allen crime, even though it's Josh Hines Allen now. I know, but we'll get to that in a minute. Let me open with this first, Whittle. For me, y'all's defense is pretty good, right? I respect that Damar Hamlin, the actual comeback player of the year, is doing things coming in with the injuries and all that, and he's doing his part. But what impresses me, and again, excuse my bias as a member of the Beef at one time myself, as I flash my credentials for my Aaron Evans original painting of me in my days playing O-line. Your defensive tackles have impressed me for some time. Ed Oliver is a guy I've seen since college, much like Tylen, except he's, I mean, let's put it this way. Ed Oliver's a little older, and Daquan also is fantastic, and I expect them to not only eat just because it's the Jags O-line that's been struggling. They're familiar with your former center, Mitch Morse. I have to think you're looking at that as a huge advantage for you guys, right?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say is going into the season, I looked at the schedule and I rattled off. We do this on Twitter and the Spaces and just on the pod. And I looked at the schedule, and I saw Miami up there twice. I said that's 2 wins. I saw the Jets up there. I said we'll get at least one win there. Saw the Cardinals. I thought that was going to be a tough game. But there weren't a ton of, games that I looked at and I said, yes, I'm fairly certain that we're going to win this game. When I looked at the Jags, the first thing I said was, that's a loss because we always lose to the Jags. This is out of the first 6 games, I had this in the Houston game as my most likely games that we would lose in the first 6. And I still hold on to that. I'm not fooled by the 0-2. You guys already, Travis Etienne fumble away from, embarrassing the Dolphins on Monday night. On opening weekend.
Sunday. Yeah.
And then you just sometimes you go up against a team that just kind of does everything that you're struggling with. And Cleveland, they've got a great defensive line. JOK, a middle linebacker, is a headache to deal with, and their secondary is extremely fast. They're extremely talented, and they're coached extremely well. Schwartz is a genius when it comes to defense. So I just kind of knew with the injuries that you guys have in the secondary, and some of the losses up front at defensive tackle. I like the Armstead pickup, but the beef. When you guys lost Fatukasi, I thought that was a
Right.
undersold loss because of the
Right.
size, his run stopping ability, etc. Love the linebackers, but I just thought that with the losses in the secondary, as good as those receivers are in Cleveland, that was going to be a tough game. And both teams going into that game were 0-1. I said, that's going to be a will of, it's going to be a game where we see, which team kind of stands up at the end of that slugfight. And unfortunately, the Jags are 0-2, but you're not fooling me. You're not fooling me. You guys are still a good team.
First of all, who am I to argue with your Cleveland Brown breakdown? I'm pretty sure Travis and I had it kind of staked down to the same place you did there. So I give you credit.
Yeah.
We are great football minds of one alike on what the challenges were supposed to be with the Browns. Still, it looks rough when all their primary offensive weapons are either on IR or on the pup, and you still can't pull it out. And I get it. There's an unfortunate, what is it? It was an illegal formation or illegal shift, right, Travis, that took a winning touchdown off
The
the board.
illegal shift, by Dearness Johnson.
Yeah,
And
so
we had a touchdown that got taken away from
the
that.
only
You have
bad
the
play I've
safety.
the only bad play I've seen Dearness Johnson make off of immediate memory that I can think of. But man, there's some other comments in here I want to address. We'll get to you, Michael Barber. I see you in there talking about Trevor. We'll get to you, I promise. But let's give shouts to the playmaker. He's in there saying that the team that will get Billy Napier fired out of Gainesville is UCF. I mean, hey, you're assuming Billy Napier makes it through the bye week, playmaker. But we'll get back to that in a minute. Let's see. Let's get to this. The way that Buffalo has used James Cook so far, I love. Josh Allen isn't the focus. Yeah, that actually was going to be a conversation I'm talking about. When you're preparing for the Bills, you can't just prepare for Josh Allen anymore, which feels weird because I know the conversation I had is I didn't feel confident in the passing game that the Bills would be able to replace Diggs in the aggregate. Doesn't look like they're doing that though, right? Whittle, you're seeing a lot more of a run presence, right?
Honestly, I think this is a continuation of what we saw last year after the Denver Broncos game. Once the terrorist Ken Dorsey was ran out of Buffalo. I'm sorry, he is like I've been calling for that man's job since the Jets game in 2022. So finally, he was relieved of his duties, and they brought in Joe Brady, and Joe Brady made it his business to put Josh under center more, to let Josh run a little bit more, to kind of lean on the run game and make sure that we not necessarily took the ball out of Josh's hands, but we made it more difficult. We made it a lot more difficult for teams to wait on a Josh Allen mistake and say this is where we can make our push. By shortening the game, you make every possession for the other team much more important. That causes teams to press. We are a very patient defense, and when Josh Allen is under center, his numbers from an efficiency standpoint, from an accuracy standpoint, his play action numbers are I mean they skyrocket compared to what he is in shotgun. And I know it's a smaller sample size, but when a 6'5", 240-pound quarterback turns his back to the defense, and you don't, that split second forces the linebackers to respect the fact that he may hand it off or respect the fact that he may take off and run, and you don't want your secondary guys dealing with that. So that creates space underneath in the intermediate area and that little gap between the second level where the linebackers are and then the safeties or your outside corners. And Josh has the type of arm that can get it into tight windows. That's all we really needed. Um, I love the fact that we are running the football more. I
Mhm.
love the fact that the more successful we are with running the football, the closer and closer those safeties get to the line of scrimmage, the more those linebackers, attack those A and B gaps. Um, and then when you add in the fact that you have a guy like Khalil Shakir who has proven to be able to win downfield, when you have an MVS who the moment he stepped on the field against Arizona forced the safeties and the corners to take like 6 or 7 steps back. You open up so much of the field and when you have a guy like Josh, he just needs that window. And when you can provide him that window to throw the ball into, I mean it's gonna be a completion.
Before I hand it to Travis, because I'm gonna have him ask some questions because of his defensive perspective. But you mentioned Josh Allen, and I love that you brought up the coordinator change going into last year. I mean, listen, Ray Charles saw the momentum shift after that, and they made me look smart picking your Bills to make the playoffs despite all the hate in the previous season's off season, right? So,
Yeah.
let me ask this: do you feel kind of like this is the best analogy I could come up with? So bear with me, Whittle. But when it comes, what it feels like is you guys have like the change in offensive philosophy acknowledged that Josh Allen is like a big play addict, and you just can't trust him to not try to get another hit there in the shotgun. So then under center, he's more under control. He's less tempted to fall back into his addiction and then make that unforced error. Do you think there's kind of some there in that concept?
I can understand why. I can understand the analogy. I don't know necessarily that Josh Allen big game hunts like for I don't know if he big play hunts. I think he takes the shots that the defense is willing to give him, and if he sees a one-on-one down the field, he's going to trust his guy. So he takes a lot of those. But I think now what's happening is Josh Allen is recognizing. I just honestly, I think he's just become a smarter quarterback. I think he realizes that these guys are going to they're gonna show me a too high shell all the time. So I need to be prepared to take what's underneath. And on top of that, we've never had this level of playmaker at wide receiver 4, 5, running back 2. Tight end 2. Like this is all brand new. I mean, we were running Cole Beasley, Isaiah McKenzie, and John Brown out there in 2019. So the fact that we have, I mean, and and amongst other guys who are no longer in the league. Now he has guys like Dawson Knox and Ray Davis and Ty Johnson and Curtis Samuel that he can just drop back Mac Hollins, where if he recognizes the blitz is coming, they're going hot and they're bringing a zero. I understand that the safety is not there. I can throw a tight slant to Mac Hollins, who's a bigger target and will catch the football. Um, and I'm just going to take what the defense is giving me. So I think putting him under center has forced him to uh, view the game differently. It's forced him to view the field a lot better. It's forced him to take the windows as they come available versus sitting in shotgun where there are so many options. It's just like, do I want to take the 5-yard check down? Or
So
I
so
got
what I'm
Diggs one
what
on
I'm
one on a
hearing
post.
so what I'm hearing is it sounds like you were more in a spread offense situation, and putting him under center made him more into a veteran game manager. Not that game manager is a bad thing. It's just it
Right.
gave him a higher ability to be able to manage the game.
I think what we did was we forced him to put his Clark Kent outfit on more often.
I
Now
like
you
that.
only have to
Mm.
jump in the phone booth when we absolutely need it. Third down
Okay.
and long. Josh Allen drops back against Miami. Great protection. Sees the cover two. Sees Ramsey kind of cheating on the running back. He rolls out right, draws in Ramsey a little bit. The safety comes down as well. Ty Johnson sprints downfield. He fires the ball at Ty Johnson. Ramsey recovers to make the tackle, but it's a huge gain on what would have been a
I
field
got you.
goal attempt. We ended up scoring a touchdown a couple plays later.
I got you. So you guys are doing the Kansas City Chiefs playbook, and not in playbook, but that's the 2023 Kansas City Chiefs. They
Oh,
were struggling the
absolutely.
offense, so they just run the ball, play defense, and I'm gonna put him under center, and then I'm gonna bring my Superman guy out in the fourth quarter, and I'm gonna win at the end on the margins.
Right. And that's what you're seeing right now. But the thing is, we have not seen Curtis Samuel really used yet. They
Yeah,
haven't leaned.
turf
They
toe.
haven't really leaned. They haven't really leaned a ton on passing out of 12 personnel yet. We haven't seen a lot of MVS
Mm,
formations or play calls yet. And Keon Coleman really hasn't been targeted a ton. Like we targeted him week one, but week two, I
right.
think he had one target the entire game. So I think as teams get adjusted to this Bills rushing attack, you're going to see them open up downfield a little bit more. We're gonna force teams out
Interesting.
of that too high safety shell, and that's when you'll see Josh Allen take some shots downfield.
Okay.
Yeah, see,
Well,
and there's the
your
comment
go ahead,
there.
Buffalo.
Way Buffalo has used James Cook so far. I love Josh Allen isn't forcing plays. And then a little shout out to you, Robert's back in the game to back us up with that O line. Average of 1.1 seconds to throw in 2 games is all on the O line. Did you know about that? Have you seen that stat, Travis?
I have not seen that stat. Now I
If
would have to
you
check
threw
that one.
that
That don't sound right.
is a killer if that's accurate. But yeah,
That don't
woo,
sound right. I don't know. But
I hope it's not
I would
that
need to double
bad.
check that one
But
because I mean, we're normally lowest in the league or top three in the league, and that's normally around 2.3 seconds, 2.4 seconds. So 1.1 just that sounds insane. I think I would have heard about this one.
I mean, statistically speaking, it's pretty hard to do because you can't get lower than 0. That's
Yeah, but also, but let's get into it. All right, so about your defense under your new coordinator, what is it,
Bob
Babbage?
Babbage, yep. Bob
Babbage.
Babbage. Yeah.
So he's been really interesting, bro. Because I watched the first 2 games, the game against the Cardinals and last week against Miami. I think everybody was watching that one on Thursday.
yeah.
And he does a lot of disguising coverages and things of that nature. Like it could be a basic cover three, and it looks like some kind of mosh little mud defense, but you don't even know what the guy's doing, where he's aligning. I was a little bit impressed by that, but it's a 2 game sample size, so I'm not trying to jump over. I'm not trying to go a little crazy because I love defense, I love secondary play, but where do you see as the true weakness of this defense from your perspective as a fan of the team?
Right now it would be the because of the injuries, it's the weak side linebacker and the slot corner.
Okay,
Both of those guys are young players. Dorian Williams is in his second year out of Tulane. He's an insane athlete. The problem is he only has two speeds: stop and pedal to the metal. I'm running away from the cops. He has no other speeds. So
mm,
he he gets sucked in on play action and he's attacking the running backs. Then in coverage, he's not necessarily uh fully coached up on the zone coverage schemes that we run in Buffalo. So that's an
okay,
issue. And then slot corner, with Taron Johnson out for, hopefully, just this week. I would love to have him ready for Houston. Um,
yeah,
with him being out, you know, we have Jamarcus Ingram in there. Jamarcus Ingram's been in the league for a couple of years, but he's by trade an outside corner. And
I got
this is the first year that they're trying to mend at slot. Um, he fell into a couple of interceptions last week, so I don't want anybody to get overly excited other than the Madden ratings adjusters. Those are the only people I want to get excited about his play
you.
so far. Those are
Okay,
going to be areas that we have to watch. I mean, you guys bring Evan Ingram in here. Travis Etienne is a threat to catch the ball out of the backfield, and Christian Kirk's one of the best slot receivers in the country. So This is going to be a huge test for that specific area of the defense. And Doug Peterson's a smart coach. Trevor
There you
Lawrence is
go.
a super talented player. They're going to key in on that. They're going to recognize that early. They're going to key in on it, and then they're going to attack it. And then it's up to Babbage and his defense to adjust.
How does he adjust? No, so you everything that you just said. So basically, you just named two roles that will be doing some heavy lifting as far as that intermediate area of the field. That's all. That's the Jaguars are top 5 in play action percentage. Like that's something you already noting the fact that you guys are going to get pulled up on the play action fakes and you running a zone defense. That is something that that's probably going to be where the Jaguars win or lose the game. If you can consistently get those play action looks and get Brendan Strange in the middle of the field because Evan Ingram won't be playing likely.
Yeah. Okay.
And get Christian Kirk back, just rebound. Christian Kirk come. I predicted Christian Kirk to rebound last week, and I was very disappointed that he wasn't able to get off that press man coverage. Fortunately for us this week, the Bills played more cover 3, cover 2, cover 6, more zone defenses. They're not going to stop the Jaguars receivers from getting off the line of scrimmage. So it's going to be up to those guys to just find those holes in the zone. So I'm very excited to hear you say, hey, one of our potential weaknesses is going to be our slot corner and one of our linebackers. That sounds dope to me. Like that, for me, that sounds like a great game because it's going to be a lot of nickel and diamond and who's going to win in the red zone, who's going to win on third downs. I'm excited for it, bro.
Real quick, Travis, you guys were talking earlier about, a lot of too high and things like that. Michael Barber, our good friend, of course, talks about here, seeing a lot, what was it, over 50% cover one man from the Jags.
Yeah.
Do you see them straying from that and adjusting too high to battle the Bills here? Let me ask you that, Travis.
Oh, no. This is what Nielsen does. Yeah, this is what Nielsen does, whether it's in New Orleans, whether it's in Atlanta, and it's here. I mean, it was 70-something% man coverage in week 1 against Miami. And I don't remember what the percentage was last week, but I guarantee it was over 50%. That's just what they do. So you won't see as much, cover too high safety looks unless you get to a third and long situation passing scenario where you may get, a cover 2 read or you may get a cover 4, depending on, what look the Bills want to give the Jaguars. So it's going to be real interesting though, because both of these teams have not played a team that's like the other one so far this season. That's what makes this matchup a little bit different. Like I said about the Cleveland matchup last week. Hey man, they're not like Miami. You're going to have to see a different game, and it doesn't matter if they seem like they're not a great team. It's a different matchup, and the NFL is a week by week. That's why I'm excited about this matchup because we always play the Bills rough, and they always play us tough. It's like that old AFC North. It's just like they have that same style of football where it's going to be a dogfight. I'm excited about that.
Let's call it what it is. Now, granted, I'll say this for you, Whittle. Travis heard me say this back in August, right? I predicted the Jags would beat the Dolphins, and in the same breath, just because I figured the Jags would give them a hard time, I said they'd lose Thursday. I didn't expect Tua to go down, but I did expect your Bills to win that Thursday game outright just because of the short week. There are two things, and I know you're not fooled. You explain it to me very clearly, Whittle. But as a non-Bills analyst here, my perspective why this edition of Bill Jags could be different comes in two forms. One, an extra 2 or 3 days to prepare coming off of Thursday night game. And then leading into Monday, right? I was right. It is 10 days because math.
Yeah.
2, you're playing at the former Ralph Wilson Stadium versus either Everbank or the de facto home of the Jags in England. Do either of these things matter over and above the possible curse in Josh Allen changing his name to Josh Hines Allen?
I'm extremely skeptical about this game. Like I want the Bills to win every week, but the some of my guys are in here, like they're in the comments. My guy David was just on the screen with his comment.
Mm-hmm.
They'll tell you, I've been saying since the beginning, since the offseason, the Arizona game's not going to be easy. We'll smoke Miami, and then the Jags game is tough. But if we can get through the Jags game, I'm confident that we'll go into Houston 5-0 because we handle Lamar Jackson like whatever. I'm already looking past the Ravens. I don't care where we play them. We
Damn.
can play them in Atlanta, so that's a dub for us. But I'm nervous. I'm honestly nervous about this game because it's not just Josh Allen on the other side anymore. It's also Trevon Walker. It's also Eric Armstead in the middle, and it's also the combination of um. I do not want to butcher your one of your linebackers' names,
Oh, that would be
but
Foye Oluokun.
Foyer Aluakum.
Foye Oluwakin. Yes, Foye Oluwakin, Devin Lloyd, and Chad Muma. Devin Lloyd and Chad Muma are guys that I absolutely loved coming out
Whittle, we're
of
glad to help you with
college.
the game because we're so often we don't even hear people try to attempt it despite all the tackles he gets. So we're glad to help you and hear you bringing up between that and a
Got it right.
Cosby reference on this episode, bro. We're friends, okay?
Oh yeah. I mean, listen, I love the way you guys are built. I think you guys are a team that's built to give a team like Buffalo trouble because you can run the ball physically in between the tackles or outside the tackles. You know, ATN has speed. I listen. I'm saying the way you're built. I'm not saying the way it's being.
Bruh,
This being. I'm
you're
not
gonna
saying the
make
way it's
you're gonna
happening
make
right
these
now.
bro, you're gonna make these Jaguar fans think we paid you off to say some of this stuff right now because the stuff you're
No,
saying
no,
we
no,
do
no, no,
well, they
no.
think they arguing about.
Travis knows. Like, listen, Travis knows me, man. Like, I don't just say things. I take this
Mm,
football stuff very seriously. But you know, and then with the wide receivers, like B2J is an absolute dog. That was a guy that we had targeted for Buffalo, praying that he got past you guys, and it never happened. Gabe Davis, like we know what Gabe Davis is about. Like, you know, he
yeah.
was with us for 4 years. And you know, I still love Gabe. And then Christian Kirk is somebody that we targeted in free agency, and we just were outbidded by you guys. And then Brenton Strange, you know, the Penn State guy, like I loved him too coming out. Tank Bigsby in the backfield. With you know, you guys have your own version of thunder and lightning, but ATM brings some thunder as well. And then Trevor Lawrence. Like if Trevor Lawrence gets outside the tackles, he can take off and make plays with his legs. I've watched him miss throws this year that normally I don't see him miss. You know, case in point, the third down. I think it was like a third down in the third quarter of the Miami game where he had oh gosh, Christian Kirk on an out route towards the sideline, and he just sailed it. And I'm like, that's not a throw that Trevor Lawrence misses. So hopefully he continues that this upcoming Monday for Monday Night Football. But if not, like you know, I'm not confident in the game, man. I just think you guys are built way too tough. Uh, Tyson Campbell's still out, correct?
Yes,
Oh, he out. Yeah, he's out for a few weeks.
he's on
On
Okay, so
IR.
out
On
to a little.
IR, yeah.
Yeah.
all right, okay. So I mean, you know, look, the safeties, Cisco still back there? Still got Cisco,
Cisco's
right?
still there.
Yeah.
Cisco's still
Not,
there.
Okay.
not the greatest game
And
this week, but he is there. You know.
Right. So
okay. And then the Texas product, Antonio Johnson. Not Texas, but what was it? Texas
he's
A&M, I
there.
think.
Yeah,
Johnson is there as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
Johnson's
This guy
there.
doing his homework. Claps to Whittle. I like
I'm
it.
telling you.
Listen, man, I'm big on the draft, man. I'm big on the draft. You guys got to steal with Johnson.
Mhm.
I just think that I think linebackers and safeties are so important because of how important they are to the Buffalo Bills defense. So when you have talent at those two positions, plus you have the outside pass rush of Joshua Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker, who had 10 sacks last year. Like people tried to write him off like he was a bust, and I'm like, wait a minute, he's an athlete. Let's see how things go. And in the
I
second
mean,
year,
in
you know,
fairness,
he pops
most of
off.
those
So.
most of those were Jags fans that wrote him off. Let's be real. So
Damn.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just hoping that we
Yeah.
can see some success against your offensive line,
Yep.
which hasn't been great this year.
Right.
I expected more out of Cam. I expected more out of Anton, but you know, we'll see. We'll see. It's still a long season.
So
and I had to,
we note your skepticism, and
right.
I'm really curious. We are the week of the game now. We're here. We for the most part know who's going to play. You believe you're nervous that you guys are going to lose, but if I asked you for a score prediction, would you be able to give me one?
Yeah. I think this is like a 24. I think it's like a 24-20 game, 24-19, something like that. I
Mm.
think this is a game that may require Josh Allen to be a large percentage of the offense, meaning uh maybe he has to run more than he wants to. Um and he's going to have to throw the football. Like I just don't feel comfortable. I just don't believe that against your front four and those linebackers that we're going to have the ability to run the football as effectively as we have against these other teams. I told the Mafia, I said, listen, this is the test. We
Mm.
I don't care how you beat Jacksonville. You beat Jacksonville. Now I'm starting to believe that Buffalo's got something cooking. But if
Nice.
we can't beat these guys, then then we got some questions that we need to ask
Ooh.
about how good the team
So
actually is.
Jacksonville is your test, like Cleveland was my test. We failed our test, so I'm hoping we can, pass this makeup exam and do some work this week. So it's gonna be a good game.
Well, pass the makeup exam another week. Don't pass it this one, man. I need to go into Baltimore undefeated.
Mm. Okay.
That's really kind of the tale of the two teams in this particular tape, Whittle. Like, you guys are looking to stay on a roll, whereas the Jags are fighting to not drown. Because should the Jags lose this game, the very real possibility of 0-5 is staring the Jags in the face, man. It's a crazy season so far, friends. And when I think you made the point on Twitter earlier, Travis, like a couple plays away from being 2-0. Right, we're talking about the Etienne fumble, of course, the Dearness Johnson illegal shift, literally taking points off of the board.
Right.
Jags in a close football game, and yeah, I kind of foresee this is going to be. I really think the Bills having control of the ball with running Cook and doing all that. If they could do that successfully, I think it's going to be a big factor for sure.
That's it. That's it for me. It's Cook running the ball. It's the screen game with the tight ends and the screen game with Cook, because that was the issue we had against Miami. 12 screens they ran in that game. That was like a third of their yards on just screens. And the fact that Buffalo finally figured out how to run screens this year, because you guys have generally been pretty rough at doing that. That makes me a little nervous. So yeah, I'm gonna call it the James Cook and tight end game, and that's gonna make or break it for me.
Bro, you got a dad joke that can James Cook? See, you got a dad joke that, baby. Come on now. Hey, listen,
Oh
he
man.
can shake his head all he wants. I'm all in that delivery, Whittle. You saw it. I
Yeah, it
agree.
was a bad joke though. It was a bad joke. The delivery sold it, but it was a bad joke.
My pride. No, hey man.
Oh man.
Oh man, Whittle. Listen, thank you for jumping in. A fantastic time.
Of course.
Appreciate
Before
you,
we
bro.
close out, get a few more comments in, give our predictions, tell the world where you can be found with what you do, man.
Okay, you can find me at Whittle2K on Twitter. I apologize now for the tweets. If you read them. And you can also find us on YouTube. We're part of the Do Champions Network. We go live every Wednesday from 9 p.m. to about 10:30 ish. Myself and Beyond716, we talk Buffalo Bills, we talk NFL, and in the offseason, we go heavy into the draft. So, hey, if you like football like we do, tap in with us. And all the links are on my page. And I appreciate you guys bringing me on. Thanks a lot.
Hey, we love to talk football
Yes,
people.
sir.
Whittle, great to jump aboard.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Man, that
Appreciate you,
was
bro.
fun. It was interesting. It was interesting hearing somebody skeptical about their team in Buffalo winning that football game. But and let me go to this too, because I think I'm kind of with Dave on this one. By the way, shouts to Dave for following your dude to the show, man. That's fanhood. I respect that. And listen, I know we got Michael Barber in the comments, we got Robert in the comments, we got Darnell in the comments. We'll get back to you in a minute, I promise. That's why I want to get a little segment in here for us to have that conversation with you. But the point he makes here about the infamously loud surroundings. Listen, the only thing the Jags don't have to deal with, in my opinion, is the snow. right? Unless, some sort
Yeah.
of crazy storm front comes in, which I have not foreseen. But yeah, I mean, I said it earlier, they have the extra days to plan. The unfriendly confines of the former Ralph Wilson Stadium with the Bills Mafia in full effect. And I think that crowd noise is going to be a factor, although Michael Barber points out maybe Trevor not being able to hear the play calls from the sideline will help the offense.
Hey man, I like that. Hey man, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Hey, Apple, just, let's run this. Yeah, let's go. I like that.
I led with that with comedy, but my dude, Michael Barber, in true Michael Barber campaign fashion, and I say that as a sign of respect too, Mike. Don't think I'm dissing here and trying to find it. He's got the, and you probably know the topic, but I want to get the comment for the audience here because he dropped it toward the top of the show. Let Trevor call the play.
Let Trevor cook. Yeah, I knew it.
Listen, he started tweeting this at me, I think, like on Monday or something. I knew he was going to do it on Wednesday, and God bless, he delivered. And then of course the new hashtag let T-Law
call. Oh man,
Travis, your thoughts?
I'm not there. I mean, I am there. Don't get me wrong. I believe it would be beneficial for this team. I don't know that we want to do it for a full game. But if you were to let Trevor cook, like starting mid third quarter, and you just want to be like, "Hey, Trev, go hurry up. Just shake it up. Just go hurry up." You call the plays from the line of scrimmage, a la the Chargers game, a la the fourth quarter of the Ravens, a la the late in the Dallas Cowboys game, and we have a list of games in which we've seen this happen, and it goes very it goes very well for the Jaguars historically. No, I'm okay with this. I'll be just like it. So it depends on how the game's going. Obviously, if you're down big, you kind of don't have a choice but to do that. You don't want to do that, but I think that's something they got to keep in the back pocket because we've seen it on enough occasions where it works really well for the Jaguars offense.
We've seen it show some disaster too earlier on in Doug Peterson's tenure, but at day's end, I mean, at this point, what don't you try? I think
you've paid the man $200. You paid the man $275 million. I mean, it ain't on the books yet, but it's out of your bank account. At the end of the day, you got to give it to him. You got to get a man a baby eventually. So why not today?
$75 million. Okay.
Yes.
No, you said it. I had to do it. No, I wasn't going to bring the economics into it, but obviously that's a factor. Let's not be silly. I think our friend Darnell, the playmaker, jumps in. The Jaguars defense will keep them in the game. The offense will need to win the game. Yeah. I think that's
the motto. That's the motto of the season right there. They left them in every game, and this is the opportunity for the Jaguars offense to finally score 24 points. Let's just start with 20 plus.
You and I may need to have a pod off to the side or during the bye week or something to actually address all the various duress and accountabilities and things like that that are out there because there's, we're not a daily show like our friend, T-Wig or some of the others that lay it down like they do. So, but I know we're running long, but there's a couple things I want to get in. It's by design. We're good. Shouts to Robert, who shares your sentiment about Monteric, a.k.a. Buster Brown, handling business. I'll also add, listen, I know Marlon Darby has gotten his flack, but I think he's played relatively well.
He played well. I mean, everybody's mad about the fact that he didn't intercept that one ball, and it really did come down to that one ball. Like he didn't have a perfect game even against Miami, but it wasn't a bad game by no means. It's a 2-game sample size, and people are freaking out because we lost 2 games. If they win both of those games, people aren't pissed off at Ronald Darby. I'm not pissed off at him at all. I think he had a solid game.
It was just 1-1. They don't care about Ronald Darby. I'm with you.
That's what it is, man. It's people's emotions are a little bit high right now, so they're gonna say stuff they don't mean. They're gonna be apologizing next week.
Oh, and look at that, Michael Barber giving us our props. That's what's up. Last thing Robert brings up, I want your take on this real quick. Most plays that worked so far were kills by Trevor. Is that what you've seen?
Oh, but that's so hard to say officially.
That's kind of yeah.
We've had confirmation that half of the times that they're at the line audibling, like Mitch Morris confirmed it to Demetrius Harvey. I was talking to Deme about that like last week. on one occasion, and he's like, dude, 50% of those audibles weren't even real audibles, because Mitch was like, the play call was what we ran. It was that it was just doing all this motion to make the defense want to change something, etc. So like some of that you can't really say it was truly a kill at the line. Some of it just is for all for show for the TV, basically. So that's not necessarily true, but sometimes it could be true.
And before we jump, just a quick comment here. I tell the Jags fans, at least y'all aren't in the Rams position.
No, calm down. I would like to be in the Rams position, because you know what the Rams got? A Super Bowl. They
hold up.
Hey, no. They sold the future for that Super Bowl. They sold They sold the future for that Super Bowl, and they got that Super Bowl. They mortgaged the future and gave away a lot of those defensive. They gave away a lot of that defense, and they gave away a lot of that money to make sure they can get that Super Bowl by all these high priced free agents that they brought in, and they got that Super Bowl.
What that got to do?
I don't hate them for that.
24, like no, you're.
I mean, 2024. They were already going to be a really, really, really young franchise with buoyed by a few older guys. Like we knew that walking into the season. And I know this is not a Rams podcast. I'm sorry, but just being
the punchline being they were a team that people were picking for the Super Bowl. Though I will acknowledge,
I think people are stupid.
Yeah, Brett Coleman above them. You beat me to it. Not his best work, I will grant, but damn, you got Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp both down. I mean, now granted, Cooper.
Don't let fantasy football get in y'all heads, man. That's what this is about. Like it's great to have Puka Nacua, and it's great to have Cooper Kupp. But at the end of the day, you also have two guys who have gotten injured recently and not got injured, and you have a quarterback who's gotten injured recently, who's older, and you're pretty much laying everything on that and a really, really, really young roster surrounding that. That don't sound great to me.
I'm not saying it does. That's what he's saying. At least not the Rams. Oh man.
Hey man, but again, the Rams got that Super Bowl, and I want the Super Bowl. I don't give a damn what the Jaguars do to get it. Hey man, if y'all gotta cheat. If you gotta barter with the refs, barter with the refs. I don't care if it's Deflate Gate. I don't care what asterisk is put on this, man. Do what you gotta do to get that ring.
Deflate Gate, Spy Gate, Front Gate, and the porch.
All the gates. We'll take them 6-game suspension next year. Give me that ring.
See, this is why I love doing this program with Travis as a true member of the Duval devout that he is. Talking Super Bowl, even though he's wearing a shirt that says his team makes me drink. I love it.
Obviously, I'm drinking.
Oh my God, Travis, give me a score prediction, man.
I got my hope and I got my realistic hat, because I'm obviously wearing a shirt for a reason. Hope is they win in an ugly fashion, sort of like what it was saying, 24-23. But my real prediction is unfortunately going to be 23-17, and I think the Jaguars offense again doesn't score 20 points.
See, and I appreciate that take. It's not a bad take. And I'm not here to say it's going to be a game as sloppy as the Browns game at all. I am concerned about the offensive line still. I'm hoping Trevor can run his way out of trouble and make a lot of things happen. There's something else we haven't accounted for too, and that is they haven't faced a defensive front that I've seen that's as good as the Jags. I expect Josh Allen to make a mistake. I expect Josh Allen to give us the audience one turnover, one mistake at least that he makes. The Jags will get the takeaway there, finally pin an interception on somebody, and in particular instance, what makes it close, I have an odd score in 24-18, but I have the Jags continuing the jinx in the former Ralph Wilson Stadium.
Interesting.
And yeah, man, listen, a lot of this is gut. But Josh Allen to me is the wild card. I've been critical of Josh Allen. Overrated doesn't mean bad, but I have seen him to be overrated. And I find it interesting that taking the ball out of Josh Allen's hands as a focal point like that has made them better. So, I know that Bills fans will probably like, oh, you sound like Nick Wright. No, I said that on my own long before it was cool. All right. I'm the one when Diggs was first acquired that said Josh Allen would get better numbers, the likes of which we hadn't seen. So with all that in mind, of course, I'm Kyle Nash, student of the game. You can find me on Twitter, Threads, and Instagram at the SOTG, as well as Facebook on the Student of the Game. Check out my writings with the Black and Gold Banner covering UCF, and of course the Night Shift podcast that just dropped today as well, powered by the Black and Gold Banneret. And then this lovely show here, the Duval Dive. Monday night, we're doing the Duval Dive live. Why the hell would we do it Sunday? There's no game. And then, of course, check out my writings as well on Fan First Sports Network. My keys to the game should be out tomorrow, so make sure you look out for that. And hey, if you don't see it immediately and you have trouble finding it, check my socials. That should be a beautiful thing to do. So, for Travis T. Holmes of Big Cat Country, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game. And until next time, by the way, thank you to all the commenters. Great stuff from you tonight. This is part of why we held over a little late. You all demanded it. And what can give the people what they want, Travis. That's what we say. You've been telling me make the show longer for a while. So now you and the commenters had all these votes to run the show longer. Fine. I did. There you go. So with all that in mind, an honor, joy, and privilege. But until next time, everyone, class dismissed.